Okay. What should we even name this podcast? What is? How do you want to start this?
Well, we just introduce ourselves and just think of a dumb name for it, and then we'll just go from there.
We could leave this part in if you want. This actually makes it more authentic.
I guess you're right, yeah.
So, PhantomKnight850, it's your boy.
What's up, demons? It's your boy. It's me, your boy.
Oh yeah. And what the hell are we gonna call you then?
Well, my name is Rayne. Do you not watch the channel?
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Sir, you don't watch my videos? Oh my god. I have you on this podcast here, and you're not even nice enough to even watch a little bit. I know it's all crap, but at least try to watch it.
God damn. Alright, so what's the podcast gonna be named?
I don't know. Godzilla's nuclear taint.
I don't know. I'm looking at Morgana right now, so Midnight Cat?
Yeah, from Persona 5.
No, I was talking about the podcast name. What do you want?
I don't know, man. Like, honestly, I'm okay with anything.
Okay. We'll call it Midnight Cat then.
All right, cool, fine. Midnight Cat.
What do you want to talk about?
Well, I want to talk about Smash Brothers Ultimate, but if you don't want to, because you don't even play Smash, so I don't want to drag you into that.
Alright, just give me the overall details. The stuff that are actually interesting and not the little micro scraps that they did.
Alright, okay, big things. Every character is back, but no Waluigi. Sad. He's been on the sidelines for 10 years. It's bullshit. He deserves his time in the sun, but I guess not today. Oh well. And they may or may not have DLC. I hope they do, because it'd be awesome, but they're kind of saying like, oh yeah, not much DLC. And it sounds like this will be the last game in the series as well, so we'll see how that goes.
So, it's an upgrade from the last game.
Yeah, there was a lot of debate initially whether it was a port, like Smash 4.5, quote unquote, or just Smash 5. And instead of being like a definitive version of Smash 4 back on the Wii U and 3DS, this looks to be more of a deluxe edition of the entire series.
Honestly, I feel like when they released the teaser, they didn't want to announce anything about that either, because I'm extremely sure they are unsure if this is supposed to be a sequel or not.
Yeah, they don't. Well, I mean, it's hard to say. I really see it as a sequel though, because like it seems, at least at first, that it's just gonna be brushed up a little bit graphics wise, and it's got a few mechanics, nothing crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they had the mindset from the beginning of this is everything in one. That was the goal. Like, let's put everything in here that we can.
So, like Infinity War.
Yeah, this has been going on for over 20 years compared to Infinity War. It's been around for like a year.
So
5 at most.
So my question is, will it bring back the players from Melee?
Okay, that's the thing. A lot of the like casual, like I enjoy Melee is my favorite, and I'll play other games too. They don't mind, but like the hardcore Melee purists, some of them aren't convinced. Even though Smash Ultimate does a lot of things to cater to that audience, it doesn't seem to be enough of those guys. Like there's one guy who's like the ruler of all Melee players. He's like one of the best players in competitive Melee, called Mewtwo King, and he kind of went over and explain some of the little details that aren't in, like, oh, this small little glitch is in here, and some of this little minutia is wrong, and this isn't right. So his complaints were all like, oh, I don't want to play it, I won't be doing it pro, because it's not Melee, and it has some tiny details missing, therefore I won't do it. And it's like, oh man, I really would just love to see not only him, but the whole Melee pro community kind of, I don't want to say move on, but not be so anti-new game, to not be against a new game in the series, but it's been proven to be quite difficult.
Do you think the more characters they add, the more it alienates them?
I don't know if it alienates, but it does give them more reason to not want to play. Like, I don't want to play that, this game's stupid because they have this in it now. People will get mad at a game for any reason nowadays, so adding more characters might be a reason for some people, but I don't see it as a valid reason.
For me, Smash Bros, in my eyes, had never seemed like a party game, because party games refer to casual mom and dad, grandma could play it as well.
Yeah.
So
And yeah, that's not what Smash is like.
exactly.
That's funny because like Sakurai, the developer of the series, he was like, "Oh, it's a party game," and everyone replied back with, no, it's not, dude. What parties are you having?"
Wii Sports Resort.
Yeah, these are sweaty try-hard parties right here. These aren't very fun parties, but
That makes me
whatever.
think.
The man says so.
Oh, true. That makes me think though, like, do you think they should reduce the characters? Because I feel like the more characters they add, the more it just seems like a selling point and not just like a game functionality.
Well, it does seem like that from afar, yeah. I feel like it's the quantitative number of over 64 characters now. It does look kind of like, oh, they must be dropping in quality if there's that many, but they do really well in making sure that almost every character is different enough to where it will not only, you know, be fun to play as, but also have the possibility to attract people to play the game in the first place. Now, when it comes to too many, I slightly agree. I kind of wish we didn't get all the Fire Emblem characters back. There are too many. There are literally 7 Fire Emblem characters in this game, and I wish they brought it back down to like 3 or 4 at most, because after a while, it just feels like there's too many. Like, when it comes to Fire Emblem, there are over hundreds of characters in that whole series. And I'm like, well, if you want to make a fighting game for Fire Emblem, then just make their own fighting game, because if you put this many in, not only do you have Smash fans who are getting a little annoyed with there being that many, but also you have Fire Emblem fans who aren't happy because there's not enough. We're in a middle ground where no one's really happy, but at the same time, they're not taking any actions to make either one party happy or the other. So we'll just kind of sit here unhappy when it comes to Fire Emblem.
So, do you want them to be back? Exactly, because like it seems like it would make some player base a bit happier that they are back. But if you do put some of them away, would that alienate some of the previous game's players?
I wouldn't say a whole mess, but there would be a bunch of angry weeaboos being like, I can't believe they got rid of my favorite character. It's like, you play the character, no one might. Alright, whatever. Because, you know, this Smash thing, as popular as it is, no matter how bad the character is or how unpopular they are, there's always going to be somebody kicking up a fit if they get cut. This happened back when Smash 4 was announced, back when Brawl was announced. Whoever gets cut between games, it always is a big issue for people. People get worried, like, oh, will my character get cut? Or who's going to get cut? Who will stay? That's why when they announced for Smash Ultimate, everybody's back, people freaking panicked. You know, seeing Snake again, that was shocking, because we're like, wait, Konami doesn't even know what to do with Snake, let alone let Nintendo borrow it for a second.
So, would that mean, like, you always have, like, the staple characters, like Fox, Wolf, you know. Well, at least they are staple enough. Like,
yeah,
obviously they're not.
Wasn't in Smash 4.
Oh, well, never mind
Whatever.
then.
It's fine,
Well,
man. Just say Mario. Mario's always in. They're not going to kick him out.
Of course. So, it makes me think, though, like, do you think they should have like every single character? Would you consider this game as like a celebration of the whole series? If it is, then they should have every character from every game, right? Or every Smash, though.
I definitely, without a doubt, yes.
Then does that mean they should have every single character from every single Smash game?
They do have every character from every Smash game. Everybody's already in there.
That means Wolf would. Okay. I get you now.
So
Okay,
Wolf is back
I get
for
you
this
now.
one, yeah.
Except for Waluigi. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Dude, Waluigi, man. It's so easy, dude. Just put him in. It's not even that hard. He's been in this trophy for 10 years. You can do it.
I mean, he's not like super broken or something like that, so I don't get what the issue was.
He's never been in a fighting game. I don't know. He's never been in any fighting game. He's only been in sports
that's
games.
True. Just like that tennis game that came out, what was it? Several days ago, was it?
Mario Tennis Aces, where a lot of characters are actually broken right now. Bowser Jr. is really OP, Waluigi's OP, Rosalina is debatably OP, and in the story mode, you try to collect the Infinity Stones.
Oh.
Not even joking, like there's this golden racket that the villain's trying to get, and you have to get the floor, like, literally called, like, Power Stones to power it up.
Okay, well, that is super original. Alright.
Yeah, everyone's like, do we all have to make the Avengers reference, or does only one person get to make it? Because we're all going to make the same reference.
God damn it. Alright, so. Other games that came out on Switch. Wolfenstein. Is it coming out?
Yeah, that is out now,
Is it?
actually. I think it is out now.
Are you-
I saw it on the Switch main page, so I
Yeah.
believe if it's not for sale now, it'll be pretty soon here.
If I remember correctly, the game is selling.
You know, honestly, I'm really happy I'm happy they have it
Yeah.
though. But personally, I never played Wolfenstein 1, so I don't know if I want to jump into 2 and then, pay $60 for a game I don't know much about, let alone if I like it or not. I do want to support them, doing these big third-party titles though. So like when Doom 2016 was released for Switch, I got that immediately because I wanted to show Nintendo, hey, I like that you're taking these risks and that these companies are willing to work with you. That's awesome. So I wanted to do my part and show them through a financial standpoint, or what you're into,
Does it come with
that the
the
money is there. And yeah, it does.
Okay, so all the DLC as well.
Yeah, because they knew, it's a year or 2-year-old game. Like, we had to be enticing somehow. So not only is it portable, but here's all the DLC released so far.
I believe the game came out in June last year. I could be wrong.
No, I think it was 2016. It came out initially.
No, 2016 was the year for Doom.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about Doom. We're still talking about Wolfenstein was 2017. You're correct.
Oh yeah.
I was just saying I don't know if the Wolfenstein 2 port for Switch has the DLC or not.
No, I get what you mean. Since there is if you look on Steam right now, it's actually one of their decently more popular Bethesda games. So they are still selling that game for like $22, I think, on Steam sale right now. While every other game like Prey and Doom, they are selling that, and Dishonored 2, I believe, they were selling that for $15 on Steam. That literally just means that those games aren't as popular. So yeah, Wolfenstein does have some player base. I'm not gonna lie, dude, the story is not that deep. Like, I could literally give you like a 5-second overview, like right now, of the first game. Basically, he got this amnesia and then he joined this resistance group in America, and in the second game, basically Nazi takes over America. It's just an interesting perspective. Because like you get to see like the
everybody
KKK.
saw the trailer and was like, "Ooh,
Yeah.
people liked the trailer. They were like, "Oh wow, this is a really interesting premise. I wonder how they're going to work it in." And from what I heard, they did okay.
See, this is the weirder thing too, because like it's in the 60s, right? And Nazi technology has advanced so much to the point where they could do space travel. They have a base on Venus, I believe.
That sounds right.
No, it's just interesting to see like what kind of material they could pull out for this game. And all the DLC, if you're wondering, all the DLC are basically just resistance propaganda comics, basically. So, yeah, so the DLC, there's 3 DLC. Each DLC centers around a certain character and the way they, what's it called? And the way they, like, fight against the Nazis type thing. It's... Think of it this way. It's like you picking up a Resistance comic book, and when you're reading it, that's when it transitions into the gameplay, basically.
Oh man.
So basically, the DLCs are pretty cool. They're not story related or anything like that, but there is a new full game that comes out, I believe. I'm not sure if it's like a gigantic expansion or an actual full game, but the new Wolfenstein game talks about, they revealed it at E3, I believe. The new game talks about how BJ's, because in the second game you find out that your wife is Prego, and in the newest game you play as the twin daughters of BJ. They basically become,
I saw that at E3.
Yeah. Which makes it more interesting because, like, you're playing this game co-op and you kind of have to, like, I believe you have to blend into society as well. So one of the daughter is perfectly blonde, just like BJ, while the other one is brunette, which makes it kind of harder for them to, sneak around in a Nazi society. I don't know. That's just
really interesting. I hope it's good, they have really cool premises for their games, and I applaud them for them doing all this.
And if you play the game, which I hope you do, I already told you this, but the shooting mechanics just feel so good. Like, it's like out of this world, dude. It's, if you compare this to like any other game, I don't know, it just feels like heaven while you're playing it. And the weirdest thing is, the studio behind this aren't even the masters of first-person shooter. The masters of first-person shooter would be id Software, and they made Doom, and I didn't exactly like Doom's shooting mechanics.
Like Doom Original or Doom 2016?
2016.
Oh.
Yeah.
I will say this, though.
Yeah.
When it comes to the New Colossus port to Switch, when I played Doom 2016 for Switch, I'm not used to console controls for FPSs. I'm so used to mouse and keyboard that while Doom 2016 for Switch has a great aim assist, it just felt kind of off. And that's not the game's fault, I guess. It's just my preferences.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm a little apprehensive towards getting the New Colossus, because like you say, you say it's awesome with the shooting. I'm sure it is, but I just think if I'm holding my Pro Controller over the Switch, I don't know if I'm going to feel that same sort of responsiveness and the same sort of enjoyment that I would feel if it was PC.
Yeah, I get what you mean, but I don't know. Like, when I played it on the PS4, I never played it on PC for Wolfenstein 2. I played it at my cousin's house. The PS4's like controller was giving me extremely good feedback. Like, when I played it, it just felt right when you're shooting it. Even when you're shooting like a basic pistol, it just feels so right. I don't know. The weirdest thing is the shooting in that game felt a bit more like Fallout 4, which is kind of strange because for Fallout 4, they knew the shooting was bad, so they had to get some of the guys from id Software to, do it for Fallout 4.
Wait. So for Fallout 4, they had people from id work on it? I did not know that. Wow.
Well, only for the shooting, only for the gun mechanics and all that, because they knew it was like extremely. If you ever get the chance to play Fallout 3,
it's owned by Bethesda, isn't it?
Yeah. If you ever play Fallout 3 or Fallout New Vegas, you wouldn't know the shooting is just. It's just like basically you're playing a giant calculator. That's what it is. Like, I don't know. It's weird. It's weird. If you ever get the chance,
Now, when you say calculator, do you mean because of like the VAT system, or
no,
do you mean just how it feels?
The VAT system is, you could clearly tell that's like a basic giant calculator as well. But the difference is, the VAT system lets you basically get yourself out of that awkward shooting situation, because it just doesn't feel that right when you play the game while you're shooting. That's why people avoid shooting by going into VATs. Yeah.
So do you think they put that in there initially to help people who either didn't like the shooting or weren't good at shooting in the first place to make the game more enjoyable?
It's possible, but if you play Fallout 1 and Fallout 2, boy, I actually recommend you. I believe they were giving those games away for free because Bethesda was like, you know what, these games are way too old already, so we might as well give them out for free.
Well, they're so different too. Fallout 1 and 2 are top-down
Exactly. So the fight system in that game was called VATS. So when you click on the VATS, you automatically go into this like turn-based combat system. But here's the thing. When you have a gun, you could also click on this one button, I believe, where it uses more AP. AP is your energy, by the way. You could click on it, and then it will show you.
I got you.
Yeah. And then it will show you like the whole human biology diagram, and you could select the body part that you want to shoot at. I guess they draw inspiration from those early Fallout games and then put them into an action-based game like Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas.
Bethesda, it's weird with them right now because they seem to know what they're doing for like Fallout, like you say.
No, they don't.
But at the same time,
if you look closely into it, Fallout 3, it was extremely popular. That's what drew a lot of people in. It had a lot of the what's it called, like choices you can make and stuff. But if you think about it, there were only like, let's say 20% of the side missions were extremely memorable. They were extremely well made. But then when you look at Fallout New...
I remember the vampire one. That's so bizarre. They're like, oh, by the way, this place has vampires.
Yes.
Oh,
I kind of like that mission, yet I don't really like it just because, like, by the end of the mission, it felt like they were hiding at this, like, weird train station. It just feels so
subway.
Yeah, it feels a bit uninspired by the end of the quest, which kind of killed it for me. But if you played Fallout New Vegas, they gave Bethesda gave all of the assets to Obsidian, and if you don't know what Obsidian is, they basically make like really hardcore RPGs. But the thing is, the origins of Obsidian actually came from the older Fallout games. A lot of the people that worked on the older Fallout games, like Fallout 1 and 2, actually went to Obsidian. So it's basically like a full circle type thing. When you look at the main mission and when you look at the side missions, I want to say like 60 to 70% of the side missions were extremely memorable. Like I could literally just tell you word for word what happened.
In New Vegas,
Yes.
Actually, speaking of Bethesda, I wanted to ask you, what do you think of Bethesda's current game plan? Kind of like what we saw on E3 this year, where they just showed off little teasers for both, what is it called, Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6. Do you think that they're relying too heavily on the big boys, or do you look at Starfield and say, okay, no, they're actually trying new things, and I think that they have a bright future ahead of them?
Okay, so I'll try to break this down. So, do you want to talk about 76 first? Because I'm not extremely interested.
We can for a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not extremely interested in that game, so I guess I could like quickly talk about it. So 76 is basically always online. That's like 100% confirmed. The issue with 76 is that like the way they described it, since it is 25 years after the nuclear war. Okay, another thing that really bothers me, I'm like sidetracking here.
You know what really grinds my gears?
West Virginia is really clean. So clean to the point where...
Yeah, it does look really good for a nuke site.
Yeah, the way they described it is that since West Virginia is the middle of nowhere, most of those nuclear missiles didn't exactly target West Virginia. That's the way they described it.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Oh, yeah. So basically, the only people you ever meet are other settlers, basically other players online, because there is no raiders, there's no factions. Well, there are factions, but they are more like monsters. Sometimes you'll meet robots that are from like China and Russia. They're called Liberator robots. It's pretty funny. And then you meet these feral ghouls. Ghouls are basically like zombie type things. But since the nuclear... Yeah. But since the nuclear war just happened so recently, some of these guys that are like decaying, they are somewhat feral, but they still have humanity. That means they know how to use gun. They just don't know how to talk.
Oh.
Yeah, so everything you meet is trying to kill you, at least AI-wise. And when you're talking about like players themselves, they want you to play a certain role. Like, you could do whatever you want. That's the way they explained it. You could be a trader, you could be a settler, you could build houses, you could be an explorer. It's weird to say it. And the issue with these like MMO-like type games like Division and Destiny and, Sea of Thieves, right? The issue with them is that they want this game to have like a lifespan of 1 or 2 years, right? Because they are kind of like MMOs. But the issue is, players eat up these contents like there's no tomorrow. Like they could just beat most of like 80 to 90% of the interesting levels, stuff like that, and get most of the good loots as well. They could get most of that in less than a week. So basically, these games' lifespans, they are pretty shitty, I'm not gonna lie. But the way that Bethesda explained it is that if you do plan on chewing up most of this content in like a week, the end game becomes extremely interesting. Because once you discover a nuclear warhead site, you could shoot that nuke anywhere on the map, right? Let's say if like there's this one settlement that is like a pain in the ass, like anyone that tries to get in to trade with them, they get shot immediately, or they're griefers or something, right?
Okay.
Guess what?
Yeah.
If you find 5 nuclear codes throughout the map, and you gotta remember the map is gigantic, dude, so it's extremely hard to find it. If you find all 5 nuclear codes, then you get to shoot that nuclear missile out anywhere on the map.
Mm-hmm. Well, that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, except for griefers, dude. The issue is you would get like a group of guys. Their specific goal is to find these codes and then shoot it just to grief people, dude.
Well, that's going to happen with every single online game ever, pretty much. People will always find a way to mess with the system, bend it in their favor. That's been a thing since online connectivity in general.
Yeah, of course. But the issue, or let me get back to like the contents. They have a shit ton of contents if you think about it this way, because the end game is once the nuke just hits the floor or hits anywhere on the map, you and a couple of your friends will have to suit up into these power armors, head into the nuclear site, and maybe battle other players. But the more valuable thing is that you fight these giant monsters within the nuclear sites. Because when the nuke is still fresh on that site, that's when you get most of the extremely good loots. This is where the dynamic event comes in. Wherever you shoot the nuke is at, let's say if another group of players shot that nuke and you see it on the map, then you and your group of friends could instantly just head into that nuclear site and maybe run into the original group that shot the missile. So, I don't know. Like, I'm just not that interested in it, but I know a bit more. Like, if you're interested in a post-apocalyptic game that's single player and it's coming out this year, get Rage. That's it. And
yeah, Rage 2.
Oh yeah, Rage 2, sorry. Yeah, so back to Starfield. Apparently, according to their patent, I believe, there's going to be 4 main planets that you get to play on. That you got to remember, all of these planets are on our solar system. But here's the thing. Once you all 4 of these planets are handcrafted planets, right? You get to like talk to NPC, trade, whatever. It's all single player. Starfield is all single player.
So it's kind of like what No Man's Sky was meant to be.
Exactly. Here's the thing. Once you leave the solar system, that's when all the planets are randomly generated.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. If you're wondering, like, do they have experience on auto-generated stuff? Yes, they do. In the first in Oblivion, right? There's like over 100 dungeons, 100 caves. All of it is made by one guy.
In what series of games they made?
How did he do it? Auto-generated.
Yeah, because you said they had... oh, sorry. Yeah. You keep cutting out there. My apologies.
No. So, I get you. So, in Oblivion, basically, all of those caves, all of those dungeons, there's over 100 of it, right?
Yeah.
It's all made by one guy.
What? How?
He auto-generated most of those dungeons, and then he curated them.
Oh.
He's like, this dungeon looks good enough. Let's just leave it in the game.
Okay,
And
that's the plan for Starfield?
kinda. In Skyrim, there's over 100 caves, but this time it's curated by like 7 guys. So in Fallout 4, it's somewhat of the same, but this time in Fallout 4 they have randomly generated legendary weapons. So they are planning on using most of this experience for Starfield, because apparently once you go out into the randomly generated planets, I think this is where the multiplayer comes in. It's not really multiplayer per se, like someone else could crash their ship onto your newly discovered planet. No, it's not gonna be like that. Instead, it's gonna be like a planet kind of like No Man's Sky, where once you get into that one planet, it's gonna be already generated and it's already gonna have someone else's like name on that planet, I think. I don't know. They haven't finalized everything. And hello?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Don't worry.
Yeah, and when they asked Todd Howard, God Howard, when they asked him like several years ago that he doesn't have the technology to finish Starfield, I believe Jeff Keighley asked him, "Are you talking about the software, like the game engine, or are you talking about the platform, like PS4 and Xbox One?" Right? That's when Todd Howard.
Well, didn't he say those were too
What?
weak? Didn't he say that those were like too weak
No,
or
he
something?
didn't say that specifically. He did say like it's a bit of both. Like the game engine isn't exactly good enough for Starfield, and the platforms aren't exactly good enough for it, but they are still aiming for Starfield to be playable on PS4 and Xbox One.
Now, question. Do you think that it would benefit them to wait longer, or are you confident they have what it takes in order to make the game they're looking for?
Honestly, I feel like Bethesda games have I don't want to say they matured enough, but if you look at their games, they have been going onto the more casual side of things.
Yeah, if you look at how Fallout progressed, and then you kind of think about how Skyrim was like the big deal for everybody when it first came out. Their games could be facing a casualization issue, even if you see that as a problem, because some people say, "Oh, well, casualization isn't an issue. It gives it a bigger audience."
Especially if you have like a talking protagonist, that really limits your dialogues.
Yeah, but they don't often do that, do they?
Well, not exactly. Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas didn't have talking protagonists. That's why they were able to like do a lot of like really shitty responses and stuff like that. But in Fallout 4, it definitely held them back. But if you look at BioWare, for instance, right? I believe their first game that had a talking protagonist was Mass Effect 1. It didn't exactly hold them back, but you could definitely tell there were some dialogue restrictions.
Yeah, because it comes down to, do you want to pay the actor or actress, all the time and money required to do all of those? Because that stuff's not cheap, believe it or not. It may seem like for some jobs that, just like you get a random guy off the street to voice a few lines, no big deal. But I mean, this stuff's expensive. Not only is the voice acting, but also animations and music.
I want to say that like voice acting is actually somewhat cheap for a game's budget. Because if you look at, like, let's say, Star Wars The Old Republic, right? That game, I believe, had the most dialogue out of every single RPG at the time. I want to say that
I would.
Yeah, I want to say that Mass
sounds
Effect Andromeda beat it by a bit. I could be wrong, but yeah.
I'm sure if you look at like a pie chart of all the expenses required to make a AAA game, I'm sure voice acting isn't a huge piece of it, But if it is a AAA game, they're gonna want some of the best actors and actresses, and I'm sure that booking them in the first place, let alone paying for the session, isn't very cheap though.
I mean, I believe Star Wars: The Old Republic was only $20 million, and the overall game's budget was like what, $200 million. $20 million is a small fraction for the budget.
Is that 10% or so?
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know. I don't really like the talking protagonist thing either, but if that's what we're going for, then that's what we're going for.
Now, when you say talking protagonist, do you mean like only in this case with Fallout 76 and Elder Scrolls? And then Elder Scrolls 6, or do you mean talking protagonists in general in all games?
Well, it's kind of weird because if you think about it, talking protagonists, like let's say in an action game, like in Saints Row, right? Talking protagonists, there's 3 males and 3 females, different voice variants. It actually feels like they add on to it. Like, it actually makes it more unique. But if it's like a giant RPG like Mass Effect or like Fallout 4, it just doesn't make it feel as unique.
No, because that you're just choosing literally a different tone of voice, not a character, not a person. You're just picking, which tone of voice, which sound sounds the best to me personally. It's not the character, it's just the actual noise you're creating.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, no, Saints Row is a bit different because Saints Row, the 3 males and 3 females, they actually got 6 different actors for that. Yeah, so basically, like, some of the lines, they would change it to match, like, let's say the British voice. He would say, like, bloody a bit more. Like, it's a bit weird.
Oh. So it would actually, like, match, like, because they would try to make a character out of the voice instead of, sacrificing character for just a voice to fill the slot.
Exactly.
Right.
I don't know. I just find that interesting. Because Skyrim, they didn't have a talking protagonist. But if you play Skyrim again, a lot of the dialogues are really, really streamlined to the point where they, like, it just feels like there's, like, let's say 3 lines of dialogue that pops up. They don't make that much difference. One of them is just backing out, the other one is just asking for more information, and the last dialogue is literally the way to proceed on the quest.
That was definitely one of Skyrim's shortcomings. At least I think I can agree to that.
Not many people talked about that, though, actually, which is a bit strange.
Now, do you think they're going to improve on this and fix it when there are newer titles? I'm sure they're trying to make Elder Scrolls 6 as big as possible, so I'd hope they'd fix this, but do you think Bethesda has it in them to fix this issue?
I don't know, because a lot of people complained about the dialogue system in Fallout 4. They literally just scrapped every single dialogue system in Fallout 76. That's literally their mindset, which makes me think like God Howard himself went and watched the Cyberpunk gameplay. Cyberpunk 2077.
Yep.
That game, apparently some of the people that described it, the dialogue tree is actually, like, really expansive. Maybe...
I was initially surprised that it wasn't made by Bethesda. I thought they were the ones that did it.
Maybe... I hope Cyberpunk 2077 gave... Bethesda some, like, inspiration.
Some fire under the seat. Just saying, hey, guys, guess what? You're not the only ones who can do this.
But then again, if you look at Witcher 3... I didn't exactly like the dialogue system in Witcher 3 either because it was...
But you loved everything else.
Yeah, I know. But, like, I don't know. It just feels a bit restricted. Maybe the reason why it feels a bit restricted in Witcher 3 was because, you're playing as Geralt, which is already a super established character, He was established in the books. He was established in the previous 2 games. Maybe that's why it feels a bit more restricted.
Probably because they were like, if you want more of his stuff, there are other options to get more of what you're looking for. I think at that point, like you said, they went through books, they went through entire games. I think their goal with the writing for him in 3 was just sort of, I wouldn't say just get the job done or get to the finish line, but they knew that if you wanted more and that was a desire that you personally had, there was plenty of material to fill that void, and that didn't have to be a main concern for them in Witcher 3.
There are some decision makings, but they're not as much as it seems. Like some of the, let's say like the decision making on a side mission, right? The major decision makings tends to be at the end of the side mission. Which yeah. And on like, let's say the main missions per se, right? Let's say there's like I believe there's like 10 or 20 main missions, but there's only like 40, or no, not 40. Like let's say 4 or 5 of the missions that you make like gigantic decisions.
Yeah, that's always been an issue. I don't know if because it's just like hard to program those ramifications, or maybe developers are worried that the results a player may receive are unwanted and that could turn away from playing the game again or playing the game even more. Because I know there have been times when I've done like dialogue trees and I picked the wrong thing from what I wanted to do, and I felt bad. I felt stupid. So do you think, kind of like what I said earlier, the reason why so few decisions in games end up being huge impacts is it because they're worried of players being mad at their choice, or is it because the work that's involved with making the choice feel like it matters? Because, you know, in order for a quote-unquote a faction to hate you, for example, or praise you, that takes a lot more effort, a lot more timing, a lot more AI shifting. So out of the two, what would you think is more the reason as to why?
Honestly, I feel like they I want to say they went not thinking enough outside the box. I want to say that.
So you think it wasn't creative enough of a use of that utility of decisions that matter?
Exactly. I feel like some of the it's hard to describe it because they streamline dialogues. It tends to be that they don't want to do the extra work per se, and it's hard to describe it because, like, let's say, have you seen the demo for Assassin's Creed Odyssey?
Odyssey, yes.
Okay, so the dialogue tree is very similar to Witcher 3. I want to say Witcher, yeah, exactly. Like the whole game was inspired by Witcher 3, which is hilarious. The dialogues actually had a decent like ramification for the whole worlds, because there's a ton of island in Greek, right? In Greece.
Yeah.
And your character basically helps either Athens or Sparta to conquer those islands. Your dialogue basically either helps you either offend those characters that might be trying, like let's say a rebel group trying to fight against Sparta or Spartans. You could either like offend them, or basically like, you know, like get them to be your friend, or actually get them to change the way that the city operates. Like it's some of them are major while some of them are not, which makes it interesting because let's say like a group of Spartan soldiers are trying to find let's say a specific thing. That rebel group could either be helping you, or you could be fighting all of them by yourself. And honestly, if you fight all of them by yourself, you could still probably kill all of them, because, you know, the main character is always God.
Yeah, exactly. Can't have a character like grow and develop. They have to be like a god from the start.
That's what makes Fallout interesting, because if you look at Fallout 1 and 2, you were just another survivor in the wasteland. Sure, you were a bit more clean because you came out of the vault, but you were still a survivor. The game was extremely difficult. But then when you look at Fallout 4, you are customizing these weapons to the point where like these wastelanders can't even fight back, bro.
a lot of them are just little dinghies and little crap sheds, just like one or two little shacks, and they have like one gun to their name, pretty much.
Oh, let me just get my double barrel shotgun out. Oh, you have a Gauss rifle. Alright, I guess what's the point of fighting you?
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't know what a Gauss rifle is, you basically like when you shoot at someone, all their limbs just come off, bro. It's hilarious. Yeah. So,
it's just like, okay, one more thing. We're kind of running a little low on time here, so I'm going to do one more quick little topic. So, I know that you are not the biggest fan of like Nintendo stuff. You're not a huge fan of how their prices never go down, and you kind of have played a little bit of Nintendo, but it hasn't really, you haven't gotten the bug, quote unquote, but you have been playing a lot of 3DS games as of late. I wanted to ask you, what would it take for the Switch to do in order for you to want to buy a Switch?
ooh.
For someone who, you are not super into the company, you don't really have, there's no particular series that's exclusive to them that you live and die for, essentially. So what does Nintendo need to do in order to get people like you who aren't necessarily in the boat quite yet to be more enticed to buy a Switch?
I want to say Pokemon, like a traditional Pokemon that comes over, but
that's me next year, 2019.
But here's the issue, though. Like, I feel like Pokemon Let's Go Eevee and Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu is just... I feel like they're not going to do enough to...
Oh, no, well, they're not supposed to. Those aren't the actual games.
Oh, okay.
Those are just to help convert everyone who played Pokemon Go into playing the actual game. So this year it is Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. But they said, don't worry, guys. Next year, 2019, we'll have a legitimate traditional Pokemon game for the Switch.
Oh. I don't know. Like... I feel like these Pokemon games, they just gotta do more,
It is weird. For a while, they've been doing one a year, and I've never been a big fan of that. I really wish they would do, like you said, do more. Cause, the last time I had a generation pretty much exclusively new Pokemon was Gen 5 back in, 2010. Ever since then, with Gen 6, 7, and 8, when next year's game comes out, they've always been, 70, 75 new Pokemon, and then older ones fill out the rest of the roster. And I kind of feel like that's not fair. I'd rather have them, wait 2 or 3 years to have a completely brand new set. Because I feel like if you have new Pokemon, a new Pokemon game, it should have an entirely brand new Pokemon set. It's part of going to a new region. There's new things to discover. I don't want to go out of the 5 or 6 territories we have now to find out that I can get a coughing or a wheezing in 5 or 6 of them, So you think that Pokemon is the series out of all of them that would entice you the most to buy a Switch?
I feel like the game's just gotta evolve, bro. It is, okay, Pokemon itself is through and through a single player game, right? Well, no, except for this new game. It's not exactly single player-ish anymore. Yeah,
and I will say this. Pokemon has had a pretty thriving online community, multiplayer-wise, for years now. They've done amazingly.
Wait, are you talking about that fan-made MMO game?
No, not even that. I'm talking about just, in general, when you go to play online multiplayer on your copy of, Pokemon White, Pokemon White 2, X and Y, or Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon. It's the multiplayer online has always been really good. Nintendo's been really solid about having the connections be always legitimate and always stable, and just delivering on every aspect. So that's pretty good. I think it's just at least mention that because they've done so much work to make sure that that's as perfect as it can be, and it shows.
Okay, let's say the game will still stay. Is it E10?
Pokemon hardly ever goes E10. I think the newer ones were E10, but I think they want to hit E.
Yeah, I was gonna say they should make some of the mechanics a bit more mature, not go out and kill a Pokemon or something, but
here's a gun, kid.
Yeah, but let's say if what's it called, you make a decision in the world, right? Let's say there's this corporation that needs your help. I don't want the decision making to be either yes or no, because previous Pokemon has done that.
Yeah, that's a huge problem that they have. When it comes to Pokemon, you're always the hero. You're always the right person. You always do the right thing. You hardly ever get a chance to be ambiguous with your morals. You You hardly ever talk.
Like, even if they don't have like a voice protagonist, I kind of want them to like show some personality, like a dialogue. Okay, let's say this, right? This is a good scenario. Let's say you're inside this research facility, and some of your decisions has an outcome on the fate of the company and what type of new Pokeball they would be releasing next year.
Oh, so based on how, like, what advice you gave them, you would have a different Pokeball for sale at the Pokemart. Is that correct? Okay. That's interesting because that sort of stuff, that's kind of not what Nintendo likes to do. They don't want to have people who have some content and others who don't have some content. They always want to find a way to where everybody can at least somehow access everything. So that could be presenting of an issue for them, though. But that is a good idea, though. I do agree that consequences would be great for the series, as well as, like you said, more mature themes and stories. Like Gen 5, Black and White, they did really good with a more mature story, but they've been really scared to ever since to try it again because Gen 5 was kind of polarizing.
Oh, yeah.
Now, are there any other series that you would personally find tempting to make you buy a Switch? I mean, Pokemon's always a solid guess, but maybe some more Mario games to come out. Maybe if they reuse
one more thing on Pokemon. I really wish they could make the world a bit more free. Like Zelda.
That is bad.
Because, like,
you cannot explore.
It feels like the Castlevania effect, bro, where you have to keep going back and, like, you know, when you get like something new to unlock a new area, you know. I remember like the philosophy of Breath of the Wild is that like you get out of that little cave and you could basically go wherever you want.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, yeah.
They're like, hey, here's everything.
And they give you the tools like the magnet and shit as well.
They give those, when you're in the tutorial area, they give you all of those tools you're going to need. And then once you leave the tutorial island, quote unquote, the whole world's open. And it comes down to whether or not you're skilled enough as a player to balance these mechanics and keep yourself alive.
And they should make like new, like for side missions, there's barely any, if you think about it.
For Breath of the Wild or Pokemon? Oh, yeah, that's hardly anything, yeah. What you'll mostly see is trainers in town saying, hey, I'll trade you this crappy thing for your really good thing. Can I have your really good Pokemon, please?
The issue with side missions is that, like, let's say people or game developers that doesn't exactly know how to make side missions, the side missions tends to be fetch quests or, like, kill a certain number of this, right?
Oh, yeah. Nintendo. Pokemon's super guilty of that sort of stuff, though. They definitely need to work on that. But
if Witcher 3 has taught me anything, I feel like Witcher 3 has caught some of those RPG AAA games' attentions. Like, let's say Mass Effect Andromeda and Assassin's Creed Origins. If you look, because those games came out after Witcher 3. If you look at their side missions, there's a Route A, Route B, and Route C type thing, right? You could go here, kill some things, steal some things, or whatever, and then by the end of the side mission, you get to make the ultimate decision, right? It's not just, hey, collect these 3 things, come back, I'll pay you.
They give you like the NPCs are characters you care about and you want to see either succeed or fail, and those help you guide your decision on those which of the 3 routes you want to follow up on.
Exactly. And the side missions, they don't have to be tedious, bro. The side missions could add on to the world as well.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Yeah. So it gives you like a new perspective on the world, like this region's new culture, this the way they do something, the way they cook, what do they eat, the fruits they have. Like it gives a bit more sense to the world. Like a side mission doesn't have to be a drag. Like, oh, why do I have to collect another 5 apples, bro?
No, I get that.
You know? Yeah. So, what were you talking about Zelda?
Oh, I was just saying that would the idea, if they were to reuse the engine and some of the assets from Breath of the Wild and made a brand new Zelda game that maybe wasn't as open as Breath of the Wild, but maybe a little more linear, that focused more on quality of decisions as well as quality of towns and side quests, would you find that appealing?
Wait. Are you talking about like making a new Pokemon game out of the Zelda engine?
Oh god, no, that'd be awesome. But no, I'm just saying a new Zelda game in general.
Oh, I'm sorry, you were cutting up a lot. So basically, you were saying like getting side missions be more amazing in Zelda?
Because
Is that what you're saying?
because I mean, you didn't play Breath of the Wild, but they were kind of underwhelming at that point. So I was a little sad as a Zelda fan to see that. It's like, oh man, why didn't they, go further with this? So I wanted to know if they actually put more time and effort.
I'm sorry. Into the side missions, right?
Would that make you consider playing Zelda?
I guess so. Like, okay, here's a really good thing that Angry Joe has said about Destiny 1 and Destiny 2.
Okay.
So in Destiny 1, you fight a certain monster and you beat a certain level. There's a thing that's called a Grimoire card. A Grimoire card is basically more expanded lore that they couldn't exactly show in the game. So they put it into like a little info card, right? But you couldn't access these info cards on the website, or you could only access them on the website. So in the second game, they literally just took out all Grimoire cards because they thought it was useless. No, if you want to expand on the lore, just put it on like either a certain menu or put it into the game per se. It's weird because like I feel like Breath of the Wild is supposed to be like a whole new living world, even though most of the world is dead, right? I feel like there could have been a lot more to be done, to be said, to be explored, and not just like, oh look, here's a little town with their own culture.
So do you feel the idea of having a destroyed civilization actually hindered the game overall?
No. The philosophy has always been like this. If the world has been destroyed, what comes out of the world? You get what I mean? Like, I'm not saying like, hey, throw a bunch of cannibals in that region.
No, I get that.
Oh, we're all super poor because like the world has been destroyed. We gotta eat each other now. No, like not like that, but like at least make it somewhat interesting. Like, what are these new cultures doing?
That
how are they living?
I can verify that was really lacking in Breath of the Wild. But you know what? That just hopefully they take that advice and put it towards the next game.
Okay, one of the this is another benefit or gripe. I don't know if you could which one you would call it, but Nintendo tends to like, or Japanese developers in general, they tend to like stay in their little bubble to make games, which is fine. Because like if you start listening to way too much of the fan, like Ubisoft, Ubisoft streamlines every bit of mechanic because fans demand it. Which I feel like it hinders the game, bro.
That makes sense, because if you give them too much power, they'll try to take over or control you, and that's never good.
And sometimes it's the vocal minorities, like these few guys that would keep spamming their stuff, but then the rest of the player base is like, we don't really care about it whether you change or not, Like, the best way to describe it would be Assassin's Creed Unity, right?
Oh, yeah.
In Assassin's Creed Unity, almost every single item that you could buy on the shop is put into the start menu.
Really?
Yeah, which made it feel like the world was just another playground. There's not much interactive stuff you could do with it. Like, oh, look, I discovered the new shop in this corner of the town. Maybe they got something rare to sell.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. I bought something rare and not a lot of players encounter this. Nah, dude. Just go on the start menu and you could just buy whatever you want. Like that just makes it. Why should I explore the world when it's not that cool?
It literally de-incentivizes exploration, which is shocking for an Assassin's Creed game.
Yes, exactly. I don't know. That's what made Assassin's Creed Origins somewhat unique, because they have these randomized, like, they have randomized weapons, stats, shapes, you know?
Yeah.
So that every shop that you encounter is different. The reason why they are all different is because they're all randomized. It's all according to an algorithm.
Oh, interesting.
Except for those few handcrafted weapons that you get from, like, let's say, side mission or story mission.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I don't know. That kind of makes people want to, like, or make game developers look more towards, like, procedurally generated items, worlds, and stuff like that, you know?
Yeah. Okay. So I kind of want to end this up so it's not too long, but what I'm going to do is end it with the game. What I want to do is I'm going to give us each a minute to rant about whatever we want to rant about. It could be about, like, games, a company, life, the world around us. I don't care. Just, you will literally get 1 minute to talk about whatever you want. No interruptions, no nothing, okay?
No what?
No I won't interrupt you. I won't, like, say my opinion. It's just a little platform for you just to talk about whatever you want to talk about for a minute straight.
Yeah, I honestly don't. Oh, okay. Okay, so you said 1 minute, right?
Yeah, I'll time you.
I got something for you.
Ready? 3,
All right.
2, 1, go.
Okay, so I want, like, more, not super low budget, but a little bit more budget experimental games that seems to be pretty prevalent in PS2 and PS3 era. But when you look at PS4 era, it seems like there's not a lot of, like, disc-based experimental games anymore. Actually, some of them are extremely shitty because they're, like, licensed games, like Godzilla or something, right? But it feels like every game that is being released, if they're not indie, then they have to just hit it out the ballpark. And it just feels so shitty sometimes because I don't want to play something that I know I'm comfortable with
15 seconds.
100% of the time. So I kind of wish, like, let's say the series Black, which is a first-person
5
shooter.
seconds.
I wish that game would
3,
come back and
2,
more experimental
1.
games come back.
Bam, done. Good job. That was a minute. Proud of you.
Hey, thanks,
All
bro.
right. Okay, my turn. So I'll time myself. Ready? 3, 2, screw it, and 1. Go. Okay, so I recently got Crash Insane Trilogy for the Switch, and holy crap, it's hard. I was just like, I thought initially when they did the reports saying, it's the Dark Souls of platformers, whatever, I thought they were just because they were bad, but no, I'm learning now how kind of Crash works. I never played Crash before in my life. I played Wrath of Cortex back on, like, the GameCube, years ago. That's not really even that much of a Crash game, but this one, oh my god, you have to fight for every single inch. Jumps that look normal, if you're not right on the edge and you jump, you're not going to make it. Like, I'm more used to Mario where it's, okay, you jump, you press A, you're going to make it. In Crash, you have to do everything absolutely golden or you're not going to do it. It's refreshing, but man, playing this alongside playing Cuphead right now, whenever I play games to relaxing is the last thing I do. And hopefully I can get one of these games done because I don't know how my brain's going to survive it. Seriously. And time. Okay. All right.
So basically you want something that you could just relax with, even though they are... Okay. Hey, you should try out, what's this one game called? It's pretty relaxing. It's called Dark Souls 3.
Oh, it's so relaxing. Oh, man.
Yeah, boy.
Well, it's not like the easiest one, but you know what? Whatever. It's a whole other can of worms. All right.
Nah, the easiest one would be Dark Souls 2, just because it's not made by the original creator.
Ooh, you're right. Okay.
It's made by the same studio, but,
Okay. So we're going to call it good here. I'm Rayne.
Phantom Knight.
There you go. And we call this Midnight Cat Podcast. Sorry. I'll keep the name. Screw it. I really don't care. It's fine. We'll call it whatever it takes. But, if you guys like this, give us feedback. We know, like, 2 people are actually going to listen to this whole thing. If you did, thank you. And we're not going to get better unless, we take the time to do more, which I'm sure we will. And also just with some kind of guidance from the comments below. So if you want to help us get better, just let us know what it takes to get better, all right? We do appreciate it immensely. Thank you again for your time.
We should release this on SoundCloud.
Oh, God, no. Let's wait till we get a little better. I don't want to... SoundCloud's already full of crap. I feel like if you're any good, you'll actually get skyrocketed because of how bad everything else is. So let's get good first and then go to SoundCloud.
Oh, true. All right.
All right. Well, we'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.